All right, let's get right into it. Today we are talking about how unmanned aerial vehicles, drones, are completely shaking up one of the oldest and, frankly, most dangerous industries in the world, construction. This is a real revolution in how we think about site safety.
So, to really get why this is such a big deal, you have to picture the scene. A construction site is an incredibly complex, constantly changing place. I mean, you've got unique challenges everywhere you look. People working at scary heights, massive heavy equipment moving around, the whole place is just inherently hazardous.
And the numbers? Well, they don't lie. The single biggest cause of death in construction is falling from a height. We're talking about roughly 1/3 of all accidents on site. That's a huge, stubborn statistic that we just can't ignore.
So that brings up the big question, right? How can technology start to tackle these dangers that have been a part of the industry forever? That's really the core problem we're going to dig into.
The old way of doing things just isn't cutting it. Safety inspections are usually done by hand, which is slow. It can be pretty subjective, and sometimes it even puts the inspectors themselves in danger. For a site manager trying to keep tabs on everything, it is a massive challenge. We clearly need a better way.
And that better way? It's showing up in the form of drones. Seriously, think of them as this powerful new tool. Basically, a set of eyes in the sky, built to make these sites safer, way more efficient, and give us more data than we've ever had before.
So why are all the big construction companies jumping on the drone bandwagon? Well, the reasons are pretty compelling. First and foremost, they boost safety by keeping people out of dangerous spots during inspections. Naturally, that saves a ton of time, and the data they collect, it's on another level, something you just couldn't get before. All of that helps cut down on costly mistakes and gives you this amazing overview of the entire project.
And look, this isn't just theory. Check out this quote from Richard Lopez over at Hensel Phelps, a huge construction firm. He says that having a professional system to log and document everything, from who's flying to when the drone was serviced, was the absolute key to getting their program off the ground and adding that crucial extra layer of safety. But let's be real for a second. You can't just go out, buy a drone, and start flying it over a job site. Setting up a professional drone program is a lot like traditional aviation. It takes a serious, low-risk operational framework to make sure everything is done by the book, safely and legally.
What's so cool here is seeing how structured this all is. The pros follow this really clear 5-step process. It all starts with job engagement, just figuring out if the mission is even possible and legal. Then you move into detailed operations planning, which means checking airspace, mapping out hazards. Execution is the actual flight, and it's all guided by checklists. Then closeout. This is where you log all the flight data, which is super important for compliance. And finally, delivery, where you turn all that raw data into something the team can actually use.
And oh yeah, you've got to navigate the rules. That is a huge piece of this. On the federal level here in the US, you've got the FAA's Part 107 regulations. That's the baseline. It covers pilot certification, how high you can fly, all that stuff. But it's not that simple. State and local laws can pile on more restrictions, things like privacy rules or where you can fly. You have to be compliant across the board.
This shows you perfectly just how complicated the sky really is. It's not just empty space up there, it is highly regulated. Using a trusted, up-to-date airspace map is completely non-negotiable. It tells a pilot exactly where they're good to go and, more importantly, where they need to get special permission, like if they're near an airport.
If there's one word to remember, it's professionalism. Think about it. For more than 100 years, aviation has relied on checklists to cut down on human error and get safe, predictable results. Well, professional drone operations are exactly the same. Standard procedures, checklists, and manuals are the foundation of a safe program.
But, of course, it's not all sunshine and roses. While drones solve a lot of old safety problems, we've got to be honest, they also bring a whole new set of risks to the table that have to be managed really, really carefully.
Researchers have basically boiled these new risks down into 4 big buckets. First, you've got your operational errors, pilot mistakes. Then there are privacy and security risks, like spying or data getting hacked. Third, mechanical failures, where the drone itself just fails. And finally, regulatory and legal stuff, which means breaking one of those rules we just talked about.
So that leads to the obvious question. How do you protect yourself? What are the best ways to guard against all these new and different kinds of risks? Let's break down the key strategies. It all comes down to being proactive. This means having solid drone insurance, keeping that meticulous system of record we mentioned, flight logs, maintenance, all of it, and making sure your pilots are trained way beyond the basic certificate. It also means having ironclad rules for handling data to protect privacy and a clear plan for what to do if an incident does happen.
Okay, now this is where things get really cool, like sci-fi cool. We're going beyond just using drones to look at things. We're adding artificial intelligence to the mix, and that's turning drones into smart, proactive safety inspectors.
I mean, just look at this. This is AI in action right here. A drone flies past a scaffold, and a computer vision model running on it instantly recognizes the scaffold and its guardrails. It's not just seeing a shape. It is actively analyzing it for safety compliance, right there, in real time. It could just as easily be checking if workers are properly tied off with harnesses.
And here's the basic breakdown of how it works. The drone's camera is capturing video. That video gets fed right into a tiny but powerful little computer on board. Then the AI model running on that computer analyzes the video feed and spits out those safety alerts instantly. The whole thing is a self-contained, intelligent inspection system.
And this is the bottom line. This tech can go places where it's just too dangerous or difficult to send a person, and it automates these high-stakes inspections. By giving instant, accurate feedback on things like whether guardrails are in place, these AI drones have the potential to stop falls from ever happening in the first place.
Which leaves us with one final, pretty big question to think about. As this kind of AI-powered, real-time monitoring becomes the new standard, what happens to the human safety expert on site? Does their job just go away? Or does it evolve into something new, something more strategic? It's a really fascinating look at where the future of construction is headed.